I chose this topic for a purpose as we are facing this pandemic crisis. I wish and I challenge myself and our co-workers to be creative in the field of education, in building a sustainable future, a future which is full of hope, joy, and peace, and prosperity. When we look back our journey of education in India, we have traveled a long way. Pre-Vedic period, when I reflect back, studying and heard a lot of stories, how our parents and grandparents learned by oral recitation. Now we have reached blackboard learning, and now with smartboard. That is the journey of India, very, very long way. And now this is the today's situation, today's harsh reality, where still children are traveling, walking long way, tired. And the other side, we have children learning, e-learning, pleasure of learning at their own pace. These children are asking us a question. Walking with their parents, aimless, hopeless. I ask myself, will these children ever get chance to study again? And when I reflect this question, what is the GDP spent on education in 2018 to 19? Just 3%. Will there be any hope as we are facing recession in India? We are aware people are having campaign for education. The more we spend on GDP, the better we have facility for our children. When will we go back studying? Children are asking us today, when will we go back to studying? This is the current reality. They may not have gone to a big school, to any of our schools, I doubt. Even the school that they went may be run by the NGOs. They are doubtful. I would like you to look at this video. This is one of my favorites video. I get energy looking at this video. It gives me meaning to education. What is education? With this frame of mind, let us look at this video with a reflective frame of mind. We'll take few seconds to reflect, ask ourselves, what does this video speak to me in terms of education? I remember watching this video when I started my research, not knowing what I would be doing, what topic would I be taking up. After having been studied masters in physics, I was asked to study education for my research. After watching this video, I felt God spoke to me what He wants me to do. That's how I took up this service learning as my research topic. And there I learned these 4 pillars of education. Learning to know, this boy had knowledge of the elderly man did not have a sandal. Learning to live together, definitely. He had the spirit of sensitivity. Learning to do, he became part of the solution. He acted, reflected and acted. And learning to be, the way he embraced his father, learning to be himself. A complete education must incorporate at all pillars of the curriculum, all the 4 pillars in the curriculum. Learning to live, we all learn to live. We all have to learn to do things, to be and to know. And how this is connected to 3H that we might have heard, that is head, heart, hand, health or happiness. Mainly this 3H, what we would have studied in B.Ed, you would have gone for cognitive, affective and psychomotor, while we would have studied B.Ed. So to feel, to think and to feel and to do. Most of the time in our education system, we make our children think with a lot of information that we deposit on them. With less reflection being part of our curriculum, we have no time for heart, and hand is used only to do homework maybe. But there is a challenge for us. 3H approach. When I look at the scenario, this crisis, the challenges and opportunities are with us. I look at education with a lot of opportunities. Yes, there is fear of online classes, e-learning, but there is a lot of opportunity. Fear of closing the industries like hospitality and aviation and hotel management, but there is a lot of other opportunities waiting for our students, which we are not aware. We are not aware what jobs will be there ready for them in 5 years, 10 years. We are preparing children for the jobs, for the employment, which we are not aware. So there comes education infrastructure, management, parent-teacher, student relationship. This is very important when it comes to school climate, curriculum development, online learning, mental and emotional well-being, and inclusive and accessible to all, and vocational training. When we look at education infrastructure, we need to have a classroom which is flexible and all the time ready to restructure the classrooms. In washrooms, definitely sick rooms, playground, I find it very important. This is, we need to check that water, fire, electricity safety, auditing has to be done regularly, signboards, floor plans drawing, so that our children, when they go out of school, they know how to read the floor plans. Good library, a separate counseling room. We need a special educator room, music room, art room, dance room, good labs, definitely artificial intelligence lab, suggestion box, because we need to dialogue with our students. Suggestion box should be opened in front of children, should be read and discussed with them what they are intending to say to us. This is the tripolar process, that is teacher, student and relationship with parents. This is very important. I would go one step ahead, not just teacher, student, parents. Management need to be included. Relationship will build confidence for children as well as teachers and parents. Safe. Children need to be safe and schools should be safe and supportive, especially when they are going to come back. Parents need to have confidence in us. What are the safety measures that we need to take? I'm not only talking about the well-to-do schools, even village schools, other schools. We need to invest money on safety. Safety in terms of hand washing, mask, all the measures that we need to take care. Engagement, we need to all the time engage our children in relationship, respect for diversity and school participation, safety, that is emotional safety, that children are emotionally safe, and physical safety, bullying and no cyberbullying, and substance use in many very schools where there are, class 8, 9, even girls and boys, they go through this pain of confusion, identity crisis at the time of adolescence. So they need our guidance, and we need to guide them and guard them how to use social media. And environment, physical environment, infrastructure, physical health, mental health, and disciplinary environment. So when I come to mental and emotional well-being, we need to have a full-time counselor, I would say, and we need to call them as life skill trainer. The more we call counselor, if you have seen Dear Zindagi movie, stigma to going to a counselor is a stigma. Children tease each other. So I would say we would introduce this counselor to the school as life skill trainer, and we need to promote staff well-being. We need to make sure that children, before children, the teachers are safe and teachers are happy, and safeguarding of children, child protection officer. Definitely, we need to train our teachers to the legal terms of all the implications that is involved when it comes to abuse, oral and physical, all the different problems that children go through. Teachers need to be trained in basic counseling skill, at least to identify the mood swings of children. Life skill training for teachers and students. There are intervention program. You can call people and they will come and do 15 days of intervention program for students, 7 days life skill training for teachers. It is a little expensive, but it's worth doing. Then mental health training, people are available. The central government, state government has institute for mental health welfare, and we have sports, music, dance, and art. All this will give them peace and joy. Meditation and yoga room we need to have. An accumulative physical, mental, and emotional well-being report card. I am talking about all this from my own experience of doing pilot study in different schools on all this. This accumulative physical, mental, and emotional well-being report card really will help us. Even village school, college, school, everywhere it will help us, because that student is with us for 3 years, 5 years, and the teachers keep changing, and the child growing. So we need to have a accumulative report card. And yes, emotional well-being, mental well-being is social, physical, environmental, occupational, financial, spiritual, emotional, all these are involved. If there are financial crises at home, do you expect your child to be happy and joyful? No. That's where we come in between, to take care of them, to get to know them. inclusive education and accessible to all. Our education should be accessible to all. We have special children, learning difficulties. Children have learning difficulties, mental health problem, medical problem, behavioral problem. So we need for a psychologist and a special educator. If both the person can be together with two different training, very good. Otherwise, two-person, I would say. Why? We need to identify special children. We need to have a list of special children and monitor their progress. To identify special children, very expensive test. We can appoint a person. The psychologist also will have tools to test the child. What degree, what intensity the learning difficulties. Whether it's dyslexia, whether it's ADHD, attention deficit hyperactive disorder, dyscalculia, that is, you have arithmetical calculation problem, then you have dysgraphia, inability to write, and then process deficit, autism. So children coming from broken family and single parent will have a typical behavioral problem. So we need to have a separate list. How do we go and ask the children in the assembly? No, we get to know them. The class teacher get to know them and have this list ready so that we can help them. We can accompany them. I would share with you one example, that recent experience that I had. So I believe in this collaborative approach where we get to know the children and bring the parents twice a year, thrice a year, learn together. You will come to know what is the relationship between parents and children. It's important. And we do believe having infrastructure for inclusive education, ramp and other facilities, washroom facilities. We do try, but it is difficult, but it is possible. All of us try this collaborative approach. Then we have vocational training. I would say vocational training should start from even class 5 onwards. Many of our schools, I'm not only talking about Loreto, many of our schools, I have not seen having this vocational training from school, say plumbing, concept of electricity and carpentry, welding, cooking, sewing, need to be introduced very early. In the previous school where I was there, we introduced 6 machines, sewing machines, fashion machines. We got to know the children who are very interested in sewing and designing, cloth designing, fashion designing. So it is very important at the early stage we introduce also career counseling. We need to call professional people because parents and children struggle with aspire and aptitude. You can have aspiration to become a doctor, engineer, and lawyer, but not necessary that you are able for it. So to understand the difference between ability and aspiration, we need to have sessions. We need to educate parents. So we need to, in the school, we could introduce certificate courses for music, dance, karate. It is possible. It is possible to tie up with the institute where the children can have karate classes. Certificate can be provided because it's very expensive for children to go. Also in the evening to avail for this course, parents are working. It is difficult, but school can provide all this. When I say this vocational training, I would also say we need to introduce many subjects in college level and school level, interdisciplinary. I understand the importance because I studied masters in physics, PhD in education. I understand the importance of interdisciplinary. It has its own value and challenges. Online classes, I could not list more than this, more disadvantages, more problems we are all facing. We as Loretos, we have higher secondary school with parents who can afford, parents who cannot afford. We have primary schools where they are not afford to have any of these facilities. So facing, struggling, from my own experience, I have noted down these points, but there are so many other problems. And those of you are listening to me might be going through a lot of problems with e-learning. Screen time is another big problem. Pressure on teachers, where we got to learn from the newspaper that parents are making comments and judging teachers how they teach, and we have exploitation, media exploitation. So a lot of the cyber crime, a lot of things are happening. Not access to library, smartphones. Today, Father Joes had sent a WhatsApp image to say a girl sitting on the rooftop to get internet connection. That is the situation in India. There are many children that don't have phones in villages. I'm aware of it. It is difficult. So it's going to be a challenge for the coming years. And I would spend a little time on this curriculum development, whether it is online, offline. We need to give importance, because we have syllabuses given to us. We need to have an academic coordinator, which we need to invest money on this, where a person helps the teachers. Teachers prepare lesson plan and the lesson is taught. But how it is delivered is most important. So we need an academic coordinator who will see to it that it is experiential learning, it is outdoor learning, project-based learning, action-oriented learning. So we'll make sure it is appropriate to the age, and HOD for each subject. We need HOD for each subject. Make sure that curriculum is delivered meaningfully to the children. And as I told you, interdisciplinary is very important. Liberal approach. Liberal in our thinking of, science with psychology. We have introduced it is possible. Legal studies with medical. So with history, geography, we need to be broad in thinking, because we don't know what type of job opportunities waiting for them. We need to design, develop, implement, monitor. Evaluate is very important. We need to evaluate regularly. It's not just exam evaluation I'm talking about. Review. And we need to be innovative in our approach. Important that we take up this curriculum development seriously. All the more we have online classes. To understand children, how they learn, and what will help them in learning, we need to understand different types of learning theories, which we might have studied at B.Ed. Some of us remember, some of us may not remember, and we come across very judgmental to our students and parents. We have behaviorist theory, cognitive theory, constructivist theory. Each theory, if you want to introduce a concept and do an intervention program with your children, we need to have the concept of learning theories that will help you to develop your lesson plan well. All of us are aware of this multiple intelligence. We have 8 multiple intelligences. Logical, some children are very good at logic and visual memory. Musical, some children have got ear for music. You ask them to learn the formulae, think for them, and they will learn fast. Intrapersonal, kinesthetic, interpersonal. We have naturalistic, that the children are very good with it. They have love for nature. Linguistic. This is why we need to introduce foreign languages if it is possible in our schools. Again, village schools it is difficult, but we need to be open to learn many languages, because there are children with this gift of linguist. Then we have peer learning. 90% children learn with their friends, from their friends. So we encourage group learning. Change the group so that they develop social skills, interpersonal relationship skills. Experiential learning, we lack in experiential learning in India. Everybody accepts this. So there are many schools coming up with this. But I studied in a simple village school where I had an experience of experiential learning. we went out and played, learned many values, and went and watched the bird flying in the lake, near the lake, and learned so many concepts of science from the nature. So I really was struck by this saying of Paulo Freire. So they have chosen or fallen or been pushed into schooling, trying to drill learning into people according to some plan, often drawn up by others. He talks about banking or deposit of knowledge. We focus on knowledge, and we just fill their mind with knowledge as though they don't know anything. We teachers know everything, and we fill their head with knowledge. He talks about relationship, where teacher is there and students are here. No, kinship relationship. We need to have dialogue with students. And he has brought a lot of changes in the field of education. This is where I found the experiential learning started with John Dewey, and Bowlby has defined experiential learning as the process whereby knowledge is created through the transformation of experience. So when we have an experience, it has to be reflected, and after your reflection, you learn from that experience. Knowledge results from the combination of grasping and transforming the experience. This, we go on to the importance of life skills. Why I talk about life skills here? When I saw the artificial intelligence and its the industry that's coming up with all the innovative ideas and job opportunities in AI, I realized at that time, Sophia, the artificial intelligence, Sophia was not in the picture. So she has, after she came, I realized that she has emotion. Intelligent robot with emotion. So what is that children need to have or students need to have that robot cannot replace them? What is that we need to have the skills that robot cannot replace us? So that is life skills. That is self-awareness, empathy, effective communication, interpersonal relationship, creative thinking, critical thinking, decision making, problem solving, coping with stress, and coping with emotion. These are the 10 skills, life skills, given by World Health Organization. We all of us struggle with. We just ask ourselves. First, I started with the question of how am I feeling today? That is self-awareness. The video that we watched was empathy. So this is very important in terms of education. It's not just a student passing out and not able to convey what she wants to say, express her ideas. So this is categorized into 3 skills. That is, we are all familiar with social skills, thinking skills, emotional skills. When I went through this empirical study, experimental research, realized emotional skills are lacking in children. There was changes, but still lacking. So we need to work on emotional skills. Today, if we take care of our children of well-being, emotion, and mental health and emotional health, we can definitely endure next pandemic. We need to be ready for next pandemic, not with qualification, but with mental health and emotional health. So what is life skills? We need to understand the meaning of life skills. Life skills are abilities for adaptive and positive behavior that enable humans to deal effectively with the demands and challenges of life. Every day, there are a lot of problems, many different situations, many circumstances, but we need to learn skills to face the challenges and demands of everyday life. For education, We give them information. As I told you, we don't touch the heart much. We don't give focus on hand much. Hand means beside homework in social justice action. So wanted to frame a community service learning framework. Was searching, though we share constitution and Ignatian spirituality, but I was not aware of this IPP, that is Ignatian pedagogical paradigm. Really opened my eyes. Context, experience, reflection, action, and evaluation. What is context? Whom are we teaching? What is her or his socio-economic background? Where does she come from? What is her background? So knowing a child, as I spoke to you, knowing her mental health and physical health and her emotional health is very important, whom we are teaching. And her experience is important. We need to give experience, and also he or she comes with an experience, either college or school. They all come with an experience. They all have an experience. I told you just now, experience will remain another experience. After this session, I finish this session. If I don't reflect, it will be just another experience. What have I learned? What mistake did I do? What still do I need to improve on? So I need to reflect. Reflection is part of our curriculum, should be part of our curriculum. Every day, spend 5 minutes on reflection at the end of the school. So action, there comes action. What am I called to do? What have I done? What am I doing? What will I do? And then I evaluate. I evaluate the whole process, and it keeps going. Context and evaluation is there. Experience, reflection, action has to go. It goes on. So if we incorporate this concept into our school curriculum, children will grow up with social responsibility, civic responsibility, and they will be engaged in social issues. And this framework of community service learning, I wanted to share with you because it is a new concept in India, and which is possible to introduce because tried out in government school and a private school, worked for 120 hours. I find it very interesting, as well as children participated well in that, and you will see the report, and the result in the research also shows that it is possible. So this community service learning, I started the research with community service. Community service, I did not know even this word called community service learning. Started with community service, where I'm used to seeing people giving clothes, food, and I realized where somebody who gives becomes higher, and somebody who receives, people who receive becomes lower, and that gap remains there in community service. Whereas community service learning, we learn the syllabus, physics, maths, chemistry, or history, English, whatever subject, we learn it, and we develop, and we look at it, and then ask ourselves, what can I do for my community? In the school community, outside the community. From this subject, I've learned, say, electromagnetic theory. What can I do from here? That we need to give orientation to our parents, because we are going to take the children out, and then children will identify and will investigate what are the needs of people, because we are not going to work for the people and with the people, we are going to work with the people. And prepare, you see in the another slide here, preparation. So a lot of preparation, planning and preparation goes on. Whom are we going to do? Who's going to do? What resources we need? A lot of work is there. And then we go for action, again, reflection and evaluation. This is exactly like IBP. I took it from IBP, modified a little because a lot of work is there. It's just a structured program, therefore. So is community service learning possible to integrate in the school? Yes, it is possible. First of all, we as management need to understand. Because ICSE ISC board, we have a paper called SCPW and community service, but not service learning. Again, that term hasn't come into India. So we are not aware of the importance of service learning. Learn to serve and serve to learn.
Excuse me, sister. Excuse me, sister. If you can wind up.
Yes, Father.
And these things can be picked up during as the discussion also.
Pardon, Father. Yes, Father.
Yeah.
So I have a few more slides. Impact of service learning on life skills. These are I read out the 10 life skills for you, and this is the structure there, and all the preparation, orientation, everything is connected to some skill or the other, and so good result on life skills. So when I shared with my guide that I'm interested in outreach program, introducing outreach program in school, he asked me why. So it was my first meeting. I said, I want children to be a good human being. And he told me, only when people come for admission, they will say, we want our children to be a good human being. After that, they want their children to be doctor, engineer. So what would he say to them? So then we introduced life skills. If life skill more sounds more convincing for parents, and definitely parents will cooperate with us. So I've come to the end, that is sustainable future. So we are, most of us out in Catholic school here, we need to keep the spirit of our values, Christian values, but we need to dialogue with other religions. The children need to learn to dialogue when they are in school, when they are in college. Interfaith dialogue has to start when they are very small. A safe and healthy environment for all. Train the teachers in child protection. This is very, very important aspect. It should be important aspect in our school. Global citizenship. I can be in India, but I belong to the whole universe. So this aspect only comes when we talk about Laudato Si and SDG, Sustainable Development Goal 2030, need to be introduced. Children need to learn, as we are going to celebrate UN 75 years. All the more we both need to incorporate into our school curriculum. There is a last chapter, 6th chapter in Laudato Si, educational environmental. So we need to see what ways we can integrate this Laudato Si into our school curriculum, in the church, in the seminaries, everywhere we need to integrate Laudato Si. Then care for common home, I introduce EVS and solar panels, plantation, trip to Tharamitra. Father Robert said we need to go to trip to Tharamitra. I have been many times, a lot of change in life takes place. Social justice, then inclusive, I spoke to you, inclusive and accessible to all. Our school gate should be open. Management, a lot of problem will be solved if we are available to people. Because people will come with a lot of ideas and problems. We need to listen to them. I am because you are. The children need to discover, students need to discover even in the college and school level, the importance of interdependence, embracing diversity and interculturality, lifelong learner, spirit of lifelong learning, and then humane excellence, that is conscience, compassion, commitment, and competence from the Jesuits education, and network and collaboration. That is the 17th goal of SDG. Even in school, we could practice networking and collaboration with the NGOs close by. Adapt a government school that is close to your vicinity. Share your resource, share your school campus with them. It is possible. It is difficult to organize, but it's possible. You can have clubs. Zero failure. No children should be thrown out of the school. It is not fair because we have not understood the 8 multiple intelligence. We have not done the test for them. We need to do the test and help them. And we need to be rooted in our own spirituality, in our own charism, and responsive and be relevant. Our foundresses might have left a lot of traditional value for us. Yes, that is important. But we need to ask ourselves, what am I called to do today with this pandemic? And these are the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, which we are familiar with. We need to have this one in the school, a board in the school, need to integrate and connect and help children to see the need of implementing this, because we have only 10 more years. This was given in 2015 in September. And we have, these are the 5 P's of Sustainable Development Goals, that is people, prosperity, peace, partnership, and planet. and you'll see how these 5 goals are, why the 5 P's are connected to SDG goals. That is, have people from 1 to 5, and planet 6 to 6, 12, 13, 14, 15, and prosperity 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And we have peace, that is separate goal, and we have partnership, networking and partnership as 17th goal. So I've come to the end of my presentation. Thank you very much.